And I would say about a month later, or within that month, he called me and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna be
Hmm.
going out to Hawaii with Kanye. He's working on his album. Man, send me some beats, and if I get the opportunity, I'm gonna play them for him." So I sent him some beats over, and also I got to tell you too, because the when I first did the power beat, I actually did it with Rhyme Fest in mind. So it was for because me and Rhyme Fest had always talked. He was like, "Yo, I think you should produce like after this album, you should just produce my whole next album." So I was like, "Man, that would be dope." So I'm already thinking as I'm producing stuff and working, creating stuff that, man, I'm gonna put this back for Rhyme Fest album. So I'm putting it back, and I remember, just on the creative side, the hearing the hearing that sample,
Afro-America will be my home. Hey.
uh, chopping it up. And it took me really about 2 weeks before I actually did it because the first two times that I tried to do something with that sample, it was like, it's cool, but it could be better.
How did
So
you come across the sample?
so around that time there was this record collector, and I can't remember his name, but he had a blog site. And on this blog site, he would basically travel the world, travel around the world, buy records from like buy these obscure records from these different countries. And he had a blog site to where he would post the album cover, he would give his review on the album, and his insight on the album. And then after that, he would have this link at the bottom to where you could download the MP3 version of the album. So I would live on this site every day because he had just hundreds and hundreds of pages of just all these unique albums and vinyls that he's collected for the public to be able to be able to showcase to the public. So I would get on there every day and just download albums. So that particular album had an interesting cover. And I love covers.
Once
The
again,
old 60s, 70s vinyl covers were just amazing because they were so creative and artistic. So I remember seeing that album. And once I first listened to, because that chant actually comes in at the very beginning of the song, like it fades up and comes in. And I remember like, yo, what is this? When I first heard it. And the exciting thing about it is because, as producers, we'll hear things, but somebody somewhere has used it, or we've heard somebody use something in some particular way. But this is a record that I never heard anybody do anything with that
wow.
was commercially released. Never. So it was one of those things to where I felt like I had like this diamond that no one knew about. So I knew it had to be right. So like I was saying, I attempted to use that sample a couple of times before I got to the moment of putting that cold grits break underneath it.
Music.
Yeah,
Same
that's
thing,
it.
crack music, right?
It's your thing joint.
That's that crack music, nigga.
Excuse me. Once I put that break under it, I was like, that's it. It just feels right. So I added I chopped the sample. I'm pretty sure I used I started with the drums. Or no, I had the sample first with that, and then I did the drums. And then I played a bass on it. I put the siren in it because I was like, yo, this sounds like a stadium record. To make it a little bit more, make it a little bit more intense, like war in a sense, like something's happening intensely, So put the siren in. After I finished it, I put it on my desktop, and I just left it there. So when Ron Fest hit me and was like, "Yo, send me some beats for Kanye," because I'm gonna be out in Hawaii with him. That was probably like one of the last records in the bunch that I saw it on my desktop, and I was like, man, let me just go on and put this beat in the batch as well because I know Ron Fest hadn't dropped this record yet, and it's probably gonna be a couple of years before we actually get to start it on the new record. And by that time, we're gonna be in a completely whole new space So I was like, man, let me just go ahead and throw this in the batch. So I put that in the batch, sent it over to him,
A few moments later.
and didn't hear anything from Fest for about 2 weeks. So already at that point, based on what I've already went through with not making the Badu album or the music album, I was already in the mindset, okay, Kanye didn't like the joints, or either Fest didn't get to play them for him. So I'm already back to working. I'm back to creating. And out of the blue one day, I'm in San Antonio. Me and my family are in San Antonio, and my phone goes off.
Hmm.
And it's a text from Rhymefest. And I look at the text, and the text says, and it's from Fest, and it says, yo, Kanye is loving your stuff. He just said he's about to change your life. That's the text that came through. So I'm staring at it, and then I started passing it around to like, so my parents could read it. My sister and brother-in-law was there, my wife, and we're excited. We're super excited. So about 10 minutes later, I see Fest trying to call me. So he calls me. I pick the phone up, and he's whispering, and he's like, yo, S. He was like, bro, Kanye's in here killing your beats. Like, he's like rapping on it. He say, man, it's making him want to rap again.
Wow.
Well, he's whispering like he's outside the studio, shouldn't be on the phone, but he's like excited to where he has to tell me, like document and tell me what's going on, what he's seeing, what he's witnessing. So he was like, man, I'm gonna keep you updated. So got off the phone with him. We go back home. And it's probably a few days later. My wife and I are at Red Lobster. We sat down, we eating, and we just talk. We always have conversations about, just how things are coming together, and this Kanye, and we know, he's next to Jay-Z. You're gonna be working with Jay-Z next, and if you work with Jay-Z, who else you gonna be working with? Probably Beyonce, because she's gonna be next.
Amen.
We would have these conversations. We would literally have these conversations. So we're at Red Lobster eating, and I get an email alert to my phone. I read the email alert, and it's from Don C, who was Kanye's manager at the time. And he's like, yo, S, get to the airport. We just booked your flight to Hawaii. Kanye needs you down here ASAP. So at this point, things are starting to happen, bro. Because it's like, get to the airport, get your stuff packed, get to the airport. And the flight is like a 6-hour flight. I remember being on the flight and, just saying a prayer and the whole flight just wondering, like, man, like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? Like, how is all of this just happening like this at this particular moment? I get to Hawaii. I land in Hawaii. Driver picks me up at the airport, takes me to the hotel, and said, Mr. West would like you at the studio. Just go drop your stuff off. Go drop your things off. Come
Mr.
back to
West.
the car. Yeah, that's literally what he said. Go drop your stuff off and come back to the car, and I'm gonna take you to the studio. So, and it's about 3 a.m. I'm super exhausted, but at the same time, I'm super excited. There's a lot of anxiety. Dropped my stuff off at the hotel. Went back to the car. He takes me to the studio. I get to the studio and get to the front desk, and she's like, and everybody was saying, Mr. West. Mr. West is waiting for you down the hall, last door on the left. Go down the hall, open the door, and in the studio is Fest, Kanye, and I forgot what engineer was in there. It might have been Andrew Dawson, because he was one of the engineers at the time. Open the door, and Fest is like, yo, you made it. S1, meet Kanye. Kanye, meet S1. I was like, man, what up? Big fan of your work. He was like, man, thank you for the beat. He was like, man, your beats are making me want to rap again. So obviously that's what he took Fest, because I remember Fest mentioning that on the phone. And I was like, cool. He was like, man, I already started one of them. I want you to listen to it and check it out. So he plays the Power record.
No one man should have all that power.
Mind you that this is a completely different version. It's like different verses. The chorus is different. The chorus had, I don't know how he did it, but he took Marvel characters from Marvel movies and cartoons, and everywhere that they said power, he chopped it out. So it was like power, 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 and his
Wow.
chorus was in between it. So he would say something and then like trigger the powers from the Marvel characters.
I need to hear that, man.
It was incredible. So, and all the verses were different, and it was just like the raw version of the beat, and he just rocking to it. And the whole time he's playing it, man, I kind of zoned out because it was so surreal because I'm like, how did I end up in this room with Kanye and he's rhyming over my beat? Like it just was like my brain was just trying to like decipher all the information and really like hone in on what was really happening. So he played the joint, and then after he played it, he was like, "Man, I just want you to." He was like, "I'm loving your stuff. I would love if you stay out here with me and help me on this album. It's gonna be called My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy." And he had a couple other names, so because the name wasn't official yet, so he was throwing out other names as well. And he was like, "Man, just stay out here with me and help me with the album." So I wound up staying out there the whole week and just being a part of the process and being a part of the process, meeting so many people that was coming through, whether it be like Rick Ross or Nicki Minaj, DJ Toomp, just meeting so many people, man. And the next day I send him more beats, and then he'd be like, hold this one. And then about 4 days later, after sending him beats, he hit me and he's like, yo, can you come back out to track these beats? So I think a week or two later, I flew back out to Hawaii.
Wow.
To track the beats for him. And that's when I found out that Power was going to be his first single, because every day they was working on it, doing different mixes on it, trying to fine tune. And once I found out that it was going to be his single, once they told me that, that's when Kanye was like, yo, bro, I want to sign you to the team. Like, let's try to figure something out.
Good music.
So yeah, so he wanted to sign me to, that's how I ended up signing to, after 8 months of negotiating and going back and forth, obviously, I wound up signing to his Very Good Beats production deal. And at that point, that's when I was just indulged in like everything he was doing, from the Watch the Throne and all these other different albums that he was working on.
Wow. God's time is the best time.
Yep, yep, yep.
It doesn't
God's
happen.
timing always over our timing, bro.
Yeah. It doesn't happen when you're ready. It happens when God's ready.
That's the key, bro. That's the moral of the story. I thought that it was going to happen in 2008, but God was like, no, it's not your time. Just wait, be patient. I got something better that
Amen.
you don't have a clue. You don't have a clue about.
Amen. Amen.
And
Amen.
it transitioned
That's one of the best
to
stories I've ever
me
heard.
having Kanye's first single.
It's a fantastic story, man. Very inspirational story. Now, I want to go back a bit. When it got into the hands of Kanye, because I can see Kanye's got production credit on it, Mike Dean and Jeff Basker. Can you just explain to us what they contributed to the track?
Okay, absolutely. So basically the beat, when I did it, I used the of course the content number, the main sample. I did the drums, which was the Cold Gritch drums, and added like my own undertone, like the drum, the kick underneath the undertones. I added the siren. I had a bass line in it, which was taken out by Kanye. I had the breakdown section, which was taken out by Kanye. So so basically me and Kanye produced the record, and then Mike Dean and Jeff Basker got additional production credit. Mike Dean played the guitars on the record.
Oh, the
So he
guitar's
did the
fantastic on that.
guitars. Yeah, the guitars are incredible. Yeah. And then Jeff Basker added the piano.
Right, the bridge, yeah.
Yeah, the bridge section.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah,
the
yeah.
keys. Kanye actually, so we're in the studio one day, and it's actually just me and Kanye in the studio. He's on his ASR 10, and I'm right beside him. I got my laptop up, and we're just playing Power super loud. And I know for a fact Andrew Dawson was the engineer at that particular time. So we're playing Power super loud. Kanye's on his ASR, and he's going through samples while it's playing. He's just triggering things. And it's like everything that he's doing, that it could have been a possibility to actually be great on the record, but he's going through like, that didn't work. Boom. He accidentally hits the King Crimson. And it fell right in line with where it is on the record.
Wow. 21st
And
century.
we looked at each other and we were
Schizoid.
like, that's it. So he put that in, he recorded it, and that became, so he added the King Crimson in.
Every element counts from what you did to the 21st century. That was one of the things
Yeah.
that caught my attention, because the beat just kind of stops. And you just hear
Mhm.
21st century, and then the drums come back in.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And I was like, that's unusual. What's this?
Yeah.
What's this?
And I
Mhm.
remember him trying to, because the way the roll is, it kept ending faster. So I remember him trying to truncate it in the ASR and stretch it out to where it fit until it perfectly hit, man. It was like, that's it. And I remember specifically Don hitting me one day and was like, yo, we ran into a clearance issue with the samples. They not wanting to clear the samples for us.
Which
They're not
one?
wanting to clear it.
Which one? Which one?
On the Afro America sample.
Okay.
Yeah, so they didn't want to clear it. The labels didn't want to clear the sound recording, because it's always two copyrights to a song. You got the sound recording, and then you got the actual publishing for the people that wrote, the writers. So the label didn't want to clear the sound recording. So they got Ken Lewis and Alvin Fields to redo the sample. So what you guys hear on the record is not even the actual sample.
It's a replay.
They recreated that. So those chants and the claps, that's all Ken Lewis and Alvin Fields. Ken Lewis, he's a top class A engineer, bro. He's amazing. And then Alvin Fields, he's a vocalist, and they both, like Ken Lewis. If you look at some of his things on his discography, he actually has redone a lot of samples that weren't able to get cleared. So he's one of the ones that recreated the whole sample, like him and Alvin Fields. That's their vocals. They're doing the chants. They had some more people come in to help them do the chants. He engineered those particular voices and the claps to make them feel like they were record. But because he recreated them and redid them over, he was able to like add some more sonic space to make it feel bigger than what the original recording was as well.
Did you need to clear publishing for that? For the chance?
No, so that's how we were able to beat, because at that point we're not sampling. So we didn't have to clear the sound recording because it's a new sound recording at that point. So only thing now is just clearing the publishing end,
Right, right.
for the writers. Yeah. So that's
Mm,
how we were able to beat that particular that sample clearance issue is by redoing the sample.
mm.
And it came out super dope, man, because sometimes I forget that they redid it. I still want to think that it's the sample, but I always have to rethink, like, no, Ken Lewis and Alvin Frills recreated that sample.
Yo, S1, that's one of the best breakdowns I've heard, man. That's one of the best
Nah, that's
breakdowns I've
number
heard.
one, man. That's
That's
number one.
like talk about painting a picture, a story, man. Shit. So one more thing. Why didn't the label want to clear it? Is it do you know why?
I have no reason why. I just know that it was a possibility that the song was not going to be on the album because of that sample clearance issue. And
Mm.
I would have been heartbroken, bro.
The world would have been, man.
Yes. I mean, because think about it, like everything, just career-wise for me, everything changes if that song didn't happen. Everything changes. The whole like
Mm.
everything changes. So man, I'm grateful and I thank God that worked out.
This is a testimony, man. I mean, your story is
Yes.
a testimony. So, shout out to you. And oh yes, shout out to your wife as well for because you said earlier you was thinking of quitting, and she was like, "No, no, 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 no. You got to
Yeah,
pursue the music. You got a real one there, man."
man, she's great, bro. She man, she endured. I mean, she saw the talent in the gift, but it's another thing with her being obedient to what she saw, and was
Mm.
like, yo, like, yeah, I think you own to something. Like, let's, even when I quit my job, bro, it was a matter of me coming to her and was like, man, I think I should be doing music full time. Like, let's figure like I want to quit the job. But at the time we needed that income. Like our boys were young and we was living paycheck to paycheck. But she was one of one, man, to be like, okay, I feel like you should be doing this too. I really feel like you should be doing this, but let's put a plan together over the next year so you can do this full time. So,
Mm.
saving money, paying debt off, paying our debt off, and like doing away with things, sacrificing and doing away with the luxuries of things, not going out on the weekend, not going to eat, cooking meals every day, and whatever can bring the debt ratio down, then that's what we were doing until like a year later, I walked away from my job and pursued this full time as a career.
You know what they say? Behind every great man, there's a great woman, man. You know.
Yeah,
Amen
she's
to
she's
that.
definitely been an inspiration, and just being part of, even when at moments when I doubted myself, she's been there to just encourage, because sometimes you just need that little ounce of encouragement just to get back up and be like, okay, yeah, I can do this. So shout out Teresa.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah.
Teresa
to
KP.
Shout out to Teresa. You got a real one.
yeah, real one right there, man. So I want to go back to the when you said Kanye was going through some samples and then he accidentally pressed the 21 Schizoid. So can you recall what possibly could have been that sample instead? That makes sense.
Well, he was just going through, it was a bunch of different samples.
Do you
Because
remember
on
any?
this, sorry, what's that?
Do you remember any of them that could have
I
potentially?
don't, I don't, I don't remember specifically,
Mm.
because he was literally like on his ASR, every key would be a sample. Like, so he was literally going down each key and triggering samples to see what would fit into the song. And then one of the keys was the King Crimson joint, and it just fit perfectly.
Okay. Now moving on. I read that the work environment for making the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fancy album was quite a strict one. I
It was
heard that
super.
people,
It was
yeah,
the
talk to
most
us about that.
Yeah, it was super strict, man. Like we couldn't have cell phones. That's why you don't, see a lot of videos or photos from those sessions, because we couldn't have cell phones in the studio. He had these rules posted on the wall, no sharing. We couldn't talk about it. So I couldn't come back and be like, yo, I'm working on Kanye album, or, I couldn't publicly say it, and I was careful with people. I told like my close friends and family that that I can trust, of course, that I was out there working, but it wasn't specifics. It was just, yo, I've been in Hawaii working with them, working with Ye. So yeah, it was very tight knit, super focused, and no outside influences.
Wow, wow.
He had a vision. He told us the vision. He showed us the vision, and it was like no outside influences, like because we don't want to distract from what the vision is going to be or what the vision should be.
There's one more thing before we move on to the next song. I recall you when I read the book. There was you said that you was playing basketball with Kanye and the rest of the team, and the way you sort of phrased it, I kind of got the impression that it was compulsory that you played. Was that true?
Yeah, so it was a routine, and this goes back to like the focus and the consistency in the routine that we had. So every morning we would meet at Kanye's crib for breakfast.
Mhm.
So we would meet there early morning, have breakfast. We'd be on the back, and we all just be talking about whatever, having conversations. We would leave there, go to the YMCA, which was downtown, or we're like in central Honolulu, um, run 2 hours of basketball nonstop, full court, no matter how many people we had, whether it was 5-on-5 or 3-on-3, it was full court. And that was the conditioning. That was the physical conditioning part of us being there.
And you had to do it.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So we would do that,
That's
and then we would go freshen up, and then we would hit the studio about 1 p.m. every day. And then we will be there all night. Most people would clock out about 2 a.m. Kanye would still be in, like, he literally never slept. Or if he slept, he would sleep in like 30-minute increments. He had a bed at the studio. They had a room, and he had this little bed in there. He would go in there, take a quick nap, come back out re-energized, and get on to the next task. So there was a moment towards the end of my trip to where I was actually staying at Kanye's crib. So I would leave about 2. Driver would take me back to his house. I would sleep, get up. He had like the chefs already there in the morning making breakfast for us. Go out back, eating breakfast, and he still hadn't made it from home from the studio yet. While we're eating, he would come in, run up, take a shower, and then he's at the table with us eating. Almost like he had a full day of rest, like super energized, ready to go for the day. And that was every day. It was maybe one time to where we left the studio session to go see a movie. And it was like, man, let's just go do something fun, go see a movie. But besides that, every day was the exact same routine.
wow.
Every
That's
single day.
focus right there.
Yep.
Wow, wow. It makes a lot of sense why he's successful. Wow.
Of
Mhm.
course, man. Of course. All right. I mean, thank you, S1. That was a beautiful story, man. Beautiful detail breakdown. Honestly, that's one of the best ones I've heard, man. So I really appreciate that. Now we're gonna move on to the next song. Anyone just joining the room, what we're doing is we're going through our special guest's catalog in chronological order. I'm playing the samples that you utilize. All I need you guys to do is to guess what song from S1's catalog. Use the sample question. As soon as you know the answer, just come off your mic, say your name, and I'll stop the song to acknowledge your name. Say the name of the answer. Say the name of the sorry. Say the name of the answer, name of the song. If you get it right, you hear this sound. If you get it wrong, you hear the other side. All right, let's move on. Let's go. Let's do this.